right, welcome to this week's edition of 7 Minutes with Jesus. We are looking today at John chapter 1, verses 43 through the end of the chapter. So go ahead and turn to the Gospel of John, and let's read verses 43 through 51, through the end of the chapter. John 1, starting in verse 53. The next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee. He found Philip and said to him, "Follow me." Now Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him of whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." Nathanael said to him, Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Philip said to him, "Come and see." Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him and said of him, "Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no deceit." Nathanael said to him, "How do you know me?" Jesus answered him, "Before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you." Nathanael answered him, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God, you are the King of Israel." Jesus answered him, "Because I said to you, I saw you under the fig tree, do you believe? You will see greater things than these." He said to him, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you will see heaven opened, and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man." All right, so let's go back and make a few comments. So Jesus is going to Galilee. He's got these initial followers. Peter comes and follows him, and we talked last week about how the Christ is one who we should follow. The Christ is one who calls the world to follow him. And we get some background on Philip. He was from Bethsaida. And Peter and Andrew were already there. And he comes to Nathanael and says to him, "We have found this one of whom the law of Moses and also the prophets spoke, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." So the idea, again, is that the law of Moses was the central legal and religious code of the Jewish people. The prophets were literary voices throughout the history of Israel who called the children of Israel back to the true spirit of the law. And both of these things attested to one who was coming who would set everything wrong right, and that is the Messiah. We've talked about that idea some already. But Philip says, "We found him, we found the Messiah." And Nathanael says, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" And so Nathanael had a prejudice against the coming of the Christ, specifically from Nazareth. There was a negative reputation around Nazareth. And so it's so often the case for us that our preconceived notions of the way God works and the way things are often gets upended and gets confounded by the wisdom of God and by Christ's teachings. So Nathanael says, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Philip says to him, "Come and see." So this is another thing. The Christ invites us to come and see for ourselves what he is doing, what he is teaching. So he doesn't ask you to accept it based on someone else's word. He wants you to experience these teachings and this life for yourself and make up your mind about it. And then Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him and said to him, "Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no deceit." We can think about that as also sort of saying, "There's no fooling you, Nathanael. You're a smart guy. There's no getting one over on you." Sort of in a little bit of a kidding or a jesting tone. And Nathanael says to him, "How do you know me? We've never met before." And Jesus answers him, "Before Philip called you when you were under the fig tree, I saw you." So we see here that Jesus, like God, sees everything because he exists outside of time. This is one of the things that points us toward Jesus and God are one. Jesus is God. And even though he is incarnated in a physical body, he sees beyond the physical and the body. So he does not have to be physically present with Nathanael when he's under the fig tree to recognize that Nathanael was doing this right before they met. And so Jesus has perfect knowledge of the future. He has perfect knowledge of the past. He sees all, and Nathanael, instantly recognizing this, calls him the Son of God and the King of Israel. And Jesus answers him, "Because I said to you, I saw you under the fig tree, do you believe? You will see greater things than these." So this is more than just prophecy, because the prophets would sometimes talk about things that were going to happen in the future through special insight from God in a way that you could read as being sort of omniscient or outside of time, or not omniscient. Omniscient is all-seeing, but separated from the strictures of time that we normally think about. And so you could say that there is a sort of outside of time element of prophecy, but this is something a little bit different. Jesus says to him, "I saw you in the past doing this thing." So it's a little bit more nuanced than what the prophets were doing. But even that, Jesus says, "You're going to see more incredible things than that." So yes, Jesus was a prophet, but it wasn't just being a mouthpiece for God or speaking the future, but it was bringing about this great change, this spiritual revolution, this relational change between God and man. So 51 is the key to the whole thing. You will see heaven opened and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. So heaven is no longer closed. The realm, ancient people would have considered the sky to be the realm of the gods, and this sort of gets made more abstract by the Jewish idea that God is one. So God is not contained within these different elements of the natural world, but rather He's outside of it. And then we as Christians go the extra step and say, yes, and there is now no separation between us and that power, and the will and communiques and edicts of God ascend and descend freely. The messengers of God ascend and descend freely. That's what the word angel means. And so we are now in perfect open relation with the Son of Man. There is no longer a diplomatic crisis between our souls and God. So that's all I had for John 1, verses 43 through 51. But join us next week. We're going to talk about John chapter 2 and the wedding at Cana. Thank you very much.